Hi everyone, welcome back to the journey of now with myself, Karis and Nick. And I was recording a video on how do we really help people, what the difference is between helping and serving, and also that everyone is an adult, and how that was one of the biggest permission slips and like filters that I use to either serve or not to serve. And I just like to speak to that because that's something that Nick and I have experienced both in our personal life and within our business. And when your business is so personal, because it is technically an extension of you, then how do you go about this whole separation and detachment from that whole archetype? This is something that I spoke to, but I think within that whole conversation is this archetype of the helper. And it's this, I think we've attached ourselves too much to it, where we think that that's the exemplified human, and it's not. For me, what I've learned is that help is just disempowerment dressed up in better clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is learning the difference between what it means to serve and what it means to help, because those are two very different things. And even when you say the words and what it means, if you just take it apart in a dictionary format, like they are completely different things with the same intention, except one is rooted in like that lack of self-worth and where you are valuing your results and your competency and the potency of your magic based on outcomes. So you already have that expectation, where serving is I am showing up, I'm teaching, but without the expectation and the attachment of my worth to what I'm doing, because my worth is inherent. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just, I think those are the biggest things that have helped us transition from feeling overworked, burnt out,
Overwhelmed.
yeah, and also just that lack of self-worth and over-serving. You know, it's almost like when you hop onto calls, oh, is this an audition for me to show you how good I am? Versus, no, this is you coming to want to work with me, to experience me in the magic of what I do and who I am. And that is invaluable. And so the number that I've attached to that is what I've said. And it still doesn't mean that that is the number that I've attached to my worth, but that is the cost of my time exchange.
In that moment for that specific container.
Yeah.
So if you're a person that is running a business, or you are in the realm of overwhelm, high performing, overachiever, and you've noticed that you do have a people pleasing archetype where you're stepping in and you're wanting to help everyone.
Or when that narrative comes up.
Yeah, you know, I'm here to help everyone because everyone is helpless, and there's this need for you. And I think it even ties into some form of a savior complex as well.
For sure.
We sat with that at a point in time where it was like, you want to save everyone. You want to help everyone see the light. Yet, as you are doing so, you're not only disempowering them, you are disempowering yourself through the process, because you cannot give them all the answers. You cannot bring the horse to water when they're not ready to drink. And they cannot expect the horse to drink the water, even if you brought them there. They may not be ready to drink. They may not be, parched enough to actually quench their thirst. There may not even be a need for that. They might not even see the water. But there you are, you brought them there and said, well, here it is. Have a cup, have a sip. You cannot force something onto someone that isn't ready to take that next step.
And I think Jamie Sam speaks to that so well in the book Dancing the Dream, where she speaks about, in the beginning of your healing journey, you'll go through that bliss bunny stage where you're so like high on this awakening experience, and you just want everyone to have that similar experience. And you don't take into account the level of discernment to be able to discern as to like whether people are actually ready to receive this. And even if they say yes, it's like, are you actually willing to do the work that comes and like commit to the level of discipline to be able to embody this. And at the end of the day, you also have to take into account human nature. And it is not expecting that people are here to use you and to take as much as they're going to get, okay? Because that's the victim narrative coming up, and that people pleaser again. But it's also recognizing that people will take as much as you give. And you need that discernment within your spirit and in your emotions as to where are you helping and where are you serving. Because one is necessary and it's an integral part of our human experience, and that is serving. And that's the whole thing of, I'm going to teach you to fish. I'm going to teach you how to grow your own food. Instead of, let me go to the market and go buy a whole thing of freshly caught things that have been done for me.
Ready made, ready chopped, ready, just pre-mix. It ties into, let's contextualize this in a way for maybe someone that's running a business or even a household.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you've got a couple of managers or execs below you, and you're running a business and you're having to micromanage each and every one of these individuals. You believe yourself to need to micromanage these parties. What are you actually doing in the process? Are you serving them? Are you allowing them to grow? Are you cultivating trust? Or are you showing the distrust that you have within yourself through the actions that you are sharing with these individuals, stating, look, I don't trust myself, so I don't trust you, and I only believe that I'm the one that can actually do this, hence I have to approve every single step along the way. Every single step, every single action has to be ticked off by me, otherwise it's not going to work, because it has to be in alignment with my vision. I'm not going to allow you to step in and to share your own magic. I didn't just hire you, or I'm not just working with you because of the skills that you have. I'm working with you because I know that you will do a good job, but I just need to make sure. And you'll find ways to validate that entire process. And it's in those little microcycles of things where you not only lose clarity and vision and purpose within your company, because there's a beautiful metaphor that I've used with a lot of my business clients, saying, look, if you imagine yourself as a person and you are running a company and you're the CEO, the managing director of the company, and you've got a whole division, you're technically the head of this body. Yeah. And every other aspect from the neck down are different components of the company. Different individuals are supposed to house those different components. Mm-hmm. And if you are looking down the whole time and trying to manage all the different parts of the body, the body is not being guided. The ship is being steered wherever. You don't know where you're going because you're so focused on the different components, and how the body cannot naturally navigate its surroundings. Mm-hmm. And that takes a lot of concentration. That takes a lot of energy, and that results in overwhelm. It results in poor decision making. It results in this, continuous need to, validate the actions that you are taking through. Yes, I'm just helping. I'm just serving. And, these people wouldn't be able to do this without me. And you can now take this to your household as well, to, let's say, how you're parenting. And completely disempowering one's children to a degree. So it's like learned helplessness. And then you end up facilitating that. And then you ask yourself, well, my kids in their 20s, and why are they acting like this? Or I've got an executive team that I'm paying a fortune, but none of them can make decisions. Do you see how you've written the entire narrative?
Instead of giving people the opportunity to take the initiative, you step in and you do it.
So you're stifling your own progress, you're stifling your company's growth, your own personal growth, and the thing is, you have no time. So now you're bottlenecking your own time through micromanagement. Mm-hmm. And the notion of work-life balance does not exist. It is something that I've sat with and tussled with. It changes, it fluctuates. What is happening in your business is going to impact you in your personal life and vice versa. And if you are doing this, and this is a strategy that you're using even in your relationship, you've got a partner who you are helping the whole time. At what point do they help themselves? Oh, here's a book that you should read. Here's a thing that you should do. You should take this course. You should try this.
Just to speak to that, because I mean, I used to do that with you in the beginning of our relationship, where I would read all the books, listen to the podcast, and then share with you the snippets, thinking that those would impact you in the same way that it did for me. Whereas those were just things that I said instead of you actually wanting to do it for yourself. And then it was almost the thing of, oh, but where's your commitment? Like, why don't you want to do these things? But I never even gave you the chance to do it.
But you see, then it comes back to when we assume. So we assume that everyone is helpless. We assume that everyone desires to change or make the decisions that we are making without even allowing a clear, concise conversation to take place where we can clearly communicate where we are, what we need, what are the steps we are taking. If we are even on the same page, and if we're not, we can at least try and adjust to get one another onto the same platform, at least to have a better conversation.
And just to speak to that within client relationships, and we used to do this, looking at the way that I'm parenting now, and I'm still learning this model, which is the Montessori method for like the schooling method. And I've just seen how much that's helped our youngest son.
Yeah.
And how confident and empowered he feels because of that system, and how much I've learned through that, and applying it to the way that we serve within our own business has really transformed that, because it helps, instead of you being in the thing of like, I'm here to teach and I'm giving you all these things, and yes, you are.
This is the value bundle. This is all that you're getting. Now pay me my money so you can change your life.
And it's going from the seat of like disempowerment to empowerment, where it's like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm here for, and if you're here, it's because we're here to share in that. Beyond that, that's not my responsibility, because the nature of your humanness is not my responsibility. And it's not. And I think initially I used to take that very personally, where it's like, whether or not people were getting the results that they wanted to, I would make that my personal problem and overserve, stay on calls for not even like 10 minutes longer, an hour longer, and then give you twice as much, because I thought that giving more would make you want to take more initiative.
And how do you feel after doing that?
Burnt out.
So you helping the helpless.
Yeah.
I use the bunny ears there for inverted commas.
Quote unquote.
Yes. You helping the helpless resulted in you being burnt out, in you not wanting to serve, in you not wanting to show up in your life, your business.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
And that person, like, to be honest, I even feel like the person on the other side feels overwhelmed, because they're like, what do I do with all of this?
Exactly.
And the person is so overwhelmed that it looks like a mountain of actions and tasks or things in front of them, and they take nothing. And they go dead fish.
Yeah, because now they need to do breathwork, they need to meditate, they need to do all these actions on top of it, instead of like, where am I actually being guided, and what is making me feel that like surge of excitement, so that I can bring in more energy for the next part of my life.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you know, with the archetype of being an overwhelmed, overachieving, or vision, goal-centric person that is also just seeking to lead a life of presence and purpose, and find that balance between like, okay, well, work and career, or these dreams and things that I have, but also just family life and living. It's a thing of when you are serving, and you'll notice, like, you look at people that say like Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins or Lewis Howes or even some other philanthropists, the impact that these individuals make only happens because they have realized the difference between helping and serving.
Yeah.
And they allow and empower the people below them, because that's the foundation of the pyramid. They're on top of the pyramid, but all the people below them are holding them up and allowing them to make the impact, because they are trusting them with the systems. They are trusting that they don't need to know everything to make this work. That is someone else's skill set. They are trusting that they got the right person to hire the right people that are in alignment with the vision, the mission, the goals, the values, and with that person's energy, more importantly. That is how they function. And now there's complete alignment with the organism, the person, i.e. the business, and that person can walk, and the head is upright and it's forward focusing.
Yeah. And I mean, just to speak to that as well, I was in a meditation and a future version of myself came through, and she was just saying, when you are convening, when you choose to go and do sessions or commit to learning from a master or someone you respect, because you've chosen to commit and you've done something completely outside of your comfort zone and something that is different, that automatically creates a new sense of awareness, brings in new opportunities and creates like change. But that's because you've chosen to walk a different path. So by the time you get, like, you walk the journey and you go and sit next to your master, or like the person that you regard as a master or a teacher, okay, they don't even have to say anything. And then already that journey is successful. But it's because you've chosen it. Whatever they share in the rest of that, it will be valuable. Even without saying anything, it's already valuable. It's already enough. And so it is the question for ourselves. It's like, do we trust ourselves and our magic enough to know that even if we don't say anything, the choice that someone's made to work with you is already like it's
creating a ripple in their reality.
Yeah, and their decision and the intention is already successful because they've chosen this.
They've chosen something different.
Yes.
They've chosen something that is outside of the reality that they deem to be normal, and they realize that they have to create a change, so they have to make a different choice, and that variance in choice has now created a different reality.
Exactly.
Just from that one action.
So therefore, like, your worth and the potency of whatever shows up in the sessions, then you have to realize that whole thing with them and their success has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. My only business and my work is to stay in absolute integrity with myself, to know that my worth is inherent, and that from the seat of not putting anyone's projected expectations on me, then I know that I am serving. And I'm serving from a place of integrity versus from a place of poverty of self-worth.
And then there's presence.
Yeah.
The presence of self and in that space. And that's the difference. A person that is serving from a space of presence versus a person that is helping. It's showing up with that presence, and it's trusting yourself and the space that you're in and navigating with that awareness, and not having an over reliance on maybe the mechanisms and the strategies and the learnings that you have had to go through in terms of academia, that you've had to pass through to understand.
And then also, to summarize that is the notion that everyone is an adult. Everyone has the ability to think for themselves. They have the ability to take initiative or not. And that's not my business.
That's not your responsibility.
Exactly.
It's not my job, to keep you accountable. I can send you a message. I can say, hey,
well, technically it is your object.
Sure, but yes, to a degree. But here's the thing. I can drop you a message and say, hey, how are you doing? You didn't respond. Is that my business? I can drop you another message 3-4 days later. Hey, were you going through something? Are you all right? Just remember, if you don't show up for you, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
You don't respond. What do I do in that case? You've invested money.
Yeah.
You've decided to commit to something where you are embarking on this journey, which you are on the minute you decided that. And all I'm doing is just reflecting what you wanted to be an experience and exist as a form of. And now you're not showing up.
Yeah. Everyone's an adult.
And that comes to the adulting aspect. And
other than your kids, obviously.
Yes, of course.
Your children.
Of course. But But looking at that and then saying, look, if I continued pursuing, let's say, said person after a certain point, which is normally like 2 messages, to be honest, then it's helplessness, that I am being a helper. I'm not serving anymore. Because then I'm stepping out of my power and my worth and running after you. No. I refuse to do that now. No, it's okay. You come to me. You message me. You connect to me. You came to me initially. I didn't come to you. You embarked on a quest or a journey or sought change. And now it's like, okay, so you're here. So you understand the commitment. You understand there is going to be uncertainty and dis-ease, and things are going to be challenged, and you're going to be uncomfortable, and things are going to unravel, and this is going to happen. But know that there is someone, and when you reach out, I'll be there. But I need you to reach out. I'm not running after you. This is you seeking support and showing up for you.
And I mean, this shows up in so many spaces, like in relationships, is, you know, giving your partner an opportunity to be that which you're asking for, instead of you filling in the whole time.
And assuming their helplessness.
And even within family and friend dynamics, because a lot of the times people will expect you because of the work. I mean, we've seen it in our own, within the scope of work that we do, there's people that come in and then they expect free or discounted support because of the relationships that we share, without even like respect and reverence for what it has taken to be where we are.
And then it's assumed.
And that's not my responsibility. If you really want help, I'm happy to refer you to someone else that I trust. But my hard line is not working with friends and family anymore. And so ultimately it comes back to the thing of really just saying, everyone's an adult. It is not my responsibility or my business to get like involved in their lack of self-worth or their lack of boundaries. I can want you to eat well, but I don't have to fix the plate for you. I can support you, but I don't have to shield you from the discomfort of the circumstances that you've created or are perpetuating. Because I think that's where the wounded healer or that whole helper archetype comes in, because we want to shield people from discomfort.
I should call it the wounded CEO as well.
The wounded CEO,
the wounded CEO
comes in when it's like, I'm not comfortable with you being uncomfortable, so let me do
more work, and then we'll figure it out. But it's like, I'm going to take this upon myself. I'm going to burn myself up. I'm going to stress myself into a stupor. And don't worry, we'll figure it out. And you're useless on the back end, but it's fine. I've got this. And then your question. There's so many questions and red flags that could pop up from that decision. So the big question for you today, and this is what I want to leave you with, is, are you serving or are you helping? And good indications would be, are you overwhelmed? Are you micromanaging? How, out of past this conversation or podcast, if you're here at this point, what maybe triggered you, or what, elicited an emotive response in your system? And just be like, okay, that's okay. How can I use this as feedback? And, possibly taking a step back and really looking at, well, if I am helping, how can I move more into a space of presence and a space of where I'm empowering, serving, and trusting, not only myself, but the people that are closest to me, from personal to business. Take it from there.
And be easy with yourself, and also just give yourself permission to not respond immediately. I find that giving yourself like just a second to say, oh, you know what, I'll get back to you on that, or let me just feel into that and I'll get back to you with that. And if you're not comfortable with the immediate yes and no.
A very simple rule is create a 24-hour rule for yourself on any big decision, being it a client, business deal. It not only gives you the space, but as a benefit, it also puts the power more in your court as well, because you're able to really sit in and place a lot of thought and intention behind, okay, is this something that fits? And is this something I'm just reacting to, or am I going to move into a space of responsiveness?
And
take responsibility in this now moment.
Can it? And what's really helpful to put this into a system is human design, because it speaks to your authority, and there's different ways that we make decisions in terms of how we make decisions within our bodies. And so giving yourself that 24 hours, whereas, so for Nick and I, we're both clinic projectors, which means that things have to be very quiet so you can hear that voice that says yes or no. Or for emotional authorities, where you actually need to give yourself the time so that you can be in that space of neutrality before. So you're not in the high and you're not in the low.
Yeah.
Or as a mental projector, you just need a sounding board to be able to make that decision. So give yourself those 24 hours. And or even with sacral authority, you'll know immediately, but at the same time, you still want to give
perspective. Still give yourself, you'll know, but just give yourself the space so everything can just settle.
And what you find happens is that you are now building the blocks and the foundation of how to trust yourself even more within simple or big decisions. And then you don't rely so much on external validation, and now it's becoming like internal. And these are the principles for that. But that's what I wanted to leave you with. I hope that you have a beautiful week, and good luck.